Hey everyone, this is Brittany from House of Sage and Lavender, and we are restarting Astrology for Yourself, Chapter 3.1, Writing Your Personality Profile. In Chapter 1, we gave you an understanding of how the signs of the zodiac are put together so that you could obtain a greater understanding of your own sun sign. We also pointed out that knowing your sun sign was only the first step in getting to know yourself. In Chapter 2, you learned that the astrological alphabet consists of 3 primary colors or principles: planets, signs, and houses. In Chapter 3, we are going to examine how these colors combine to produce your zodiacal portrait. Although we have provided journal entry questions with minimal answering space, you may wish to keep a separate journal or use your own paper to fill in your zodiacal portrait and thereby have it all in a single place for easy reference. Before we begin, let us consider 2 other significators of your personality, the Moon and Ascendant. Here is an example of the practice birth chart. You can find a copy of this on Pinterest. The Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. The Sun, Moon, and Ascendant are considered to be the 3 primary indicators of personality in the birth chart. The Sun represents the essence of who you know yourself to be, your conscious purpose and identity. On an historic level, the Sun refers to the present, the inherent potential you have to work within the here and now. The Moon represents the innermost core of your being, your private feelings and subconscious habits and attitudes. On an historic level, the Moon refers to your past, early childhood influences, racial heritage, and past lives. The Ascendant, also called the rising sign, is a sign of the zodiac that was rising or ascending over the eastern horizon at the time of your birth. The Ascendant represents the outer layer of your being, your mask or persona, coloring how you present yourself to the world at large. On an historic level, the Ascendant refers to the future, your direction of soul growth and unfoldment. Table 1. The Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. The Ascendant describes your unique way of being in the world. It shows how you come across in pursuing your sun's purpose. The sun sign determines the important decisions you make within, but the rising sign depicts how those decisions are outwardly expressed. The sun sign, your inner self, and your rising sign is your outer self. How you see yourself and how others see you. Your essence versus your image. Your central core versus your mask or persona. Your purpose or motivation versus the vehicle for its expression. And 2. The ascendant combines with the sun and moon signs to form an astrological trinity that sets the tone for the entire chart. It is only natural that the sun, moon, and ascendant should function as a unit, for the heavenly cycles on which they are based. The year, the month, and the day govern the rhythms of your earthly existence. We have the symbol and then the cycle from which it is derived. The sun sign is the yearly cycle of the seasons. The moon sign is the monthly cycle of the moon's phases, and the rising sign is the daily cycle of the Earth's rotation on its axis. Exercise 1. I interpret my sun and moon and ascendant. And like before, we are going to use mine as an example. Here you will consult your notes from Table 2. My sun is in the sign of Taurus. My moon is in the sign of Aries. My ascendant is in the sign of Pisces. And here is table 6 and figure 6 to fill in the next slide's questions. Element analysis. Using the previous slide, look at the elements of your sun, moon, and rising signs. My sun sign's element is earth. My moon sign's element is fire. My rising sign's element is water. Does any element seem emphasized? Is any lacking? If any element appears more than once, write 3 of its keywords below. 2. Polarity emphasis. My sun sign's polarity is yin. My moon sign's polarity is yang. My rising sign's polarity is yin. The polarity that appears most often is yin. 2 keywords for this polarity is intuitive and receptive. Then we have modality emphasis. My sun sign's modality is fixed. My moon sign's modality is cardinal. My rising sign's modality is mutable. If any modality appears more than once, write down 3 keywords. Mine doesn't have any, so mine will be blank. Number 4, the orientation emphasis. My sun sign's orientation is personal, and my moon sign's orientation is personal. My rising sign's orientation is transpersonal. If any orientation comes up more than once, write down its key phases. So personal comes up twice in mine, so therefore mine is focused on personal wants and needs. The optional journal entry. The above exercise should have provided you with more information about your birth chart and therefore about yourself. Did you find the keywords helpful? Did they seem to fit what you know about yourself? In your own words, write a brief self-portrait that is derived from the insights you've gained about your sun, moon, and rising signs. You have now begun your birth chart interpretation by painting a broad outline of your astrological portrait. The basic picture should be familiar, yet many details remain to be filled in. The 4 angles of the birth chart. The ascendant or rising sign is one of 4 extremely important points in the chart known as the astrological angles. The angles are formed by the intersection of the horizontal and vertical axis of the chart, the horizon and the meridian, with the outer circle. These intersections occur at 4 points: north, south, east, and west. These points are called the 4 astrological angles: the ascendant, descendant, medium colli, and the imum colli, as illustrated in Figure 2. A brief note: the reason that the east appears at the left of the diagram is that in the northern hemisphere, where astrology originated, to look at the noonday sun, represented by the midheaven, you must face south. This places west to your right and east to your left. The angles are extremely important in your birth chart because they define the basic structure of your life's experiences. As we have described, the ascendant or rising sign portrays your unique way of being in the world, the vehicle that you use to express your sun's purpose and motivation. The descendant, or the setting sign, found directly opposite the ascendant, shows that what you see in others. It is your relationship self. Together, the ascendant and descendant symbolizes a polarity of self versus other that describes how you balance your need to be individual with your need to cooperate with others. The MC, or medium colli, point of accumulation, represents the most elevated sign in the sky at the time of your birth. hence it represents how you are seen by society at large. Your career, reputation, and stance in the world. This is clearly your public self. On the other hand, the IC or Immaculate, the other sky, as directly opposite the MC and represents your personal private self. Together, the MC and IC create a polarity of personal integration versus social function that describes how your base of operation supports and reflects your public or professional expression. Exercise 2. I interpret the angles in my birth chart. Now it is time to discover how these four functions operate in your birth chart. On the next page, you will be asked to complete a number of sentences using keywords from Appendix A. We will talk more about Appendix A in the next exercise. For now, read over this if we're not doing the example. So moving on, so I have the Appendix A on the slides at the end of this video. So I interpret the angles in my birth chart. Ascendant, I am. My ascendant is in the sign of Pisces. My rising sign describes how I express my persona or outer image. Thus, I can best project myself to others by fulfilling my need to commit myself to a dream or ideal and work towards realization. When I am confident, I tend to project myself in a spiritual, empathetic, and healing manner. When I am confident, I tend to project myself. Oh, I already just read that. Okay. However, when I feel unsure of myself or overcompensate, I may be hypersensitive and misunderstood. My descendant is in the sign of Virgo. My descendant describes the qualities I seek or need in others, which often represent my less conscious aspects. Thus, I can attract the partnerships I need by owning and acknowledging my need to analyze, discriminate, and function efficiently. When my partnerships or relationships are in harmony, they tend to be practical, economical, and helpful. However, when I am projecting my repressed energies out onto my significant others, I may experience them as picky and judgmental. My MC is in the sign of Capricorn. My MC describes how I function in and contribute to society. Thus, I can best be in the world and achieve my professional and career identity by fulfilling my need for structure, organization, and social accomplishment. When I am competent, I tend to project myself in the world in an efficient, reserved, and hardworking manner. However, when I feel unsure of myself or out of place, I may be obsessed with order and self-doubting. My IC, or undersky, is in the sign of Cancer. My ID describes my need for emotionally secure foundation on which to base my life's operations. Thus, I can best establish a solid home and foundation by fulfilling my need to give and receive emotional warmth and security. When I am secure and grounded, I tend to feel sympathetic, nurturing, and caring. However, when I feel insecure and ungrounded, I may be withdrawn or over-emotional. The planets in the birth chart. How to interpret the planets in your birth chart. You are now ready to begin interpreting the effects of each planet, or part of your personality, by analyzing according to its signs and house position in your birth chart. Remember that the planets are the basic driving energies of the chart. They show what is taking place, The signs of the zodiac act as mediums for the expression of the planetary energies. They show how the planetary functions are manifesting. The houses, on the other hand, act as fields of experience for the planetary functions. They indicate where or in what department of life the planetary action is taking place. To begin the process of interpreting your planets, refer to Table 2 to determine the sign and house location of each planet in your chart. Then fill in the blanks of the program text by using the keywords from the sign keywords in Appendix A and the house keywords in Appendix B. You will be referring to Appendices A and B on a continual basis for the remainder of this book. If you do not have this book and you would like a copy of the appendices other than from the slides at the end of this lesson, you can, for the exercises, you can send an email to rev.lunaseasdreams@gmail.com. How to fill out Part 1. For the first sentence, you will want to look up your planet sign position in Table 2. The planet key phrases that begins each exercise in bold letters represents the distillation of the primary qualities of the planet. Appendix C provides additional planetary keywords. You may wish to read over them in order to see how each planet functions on all of its levels. To complete the next 3 sentences, simply refer to Appendix A for the appropriate key phrases and keywords. How to fill out Part 2. Part 2 of each exercise asks you to determine the elements of the signs in which a planet is placed. For example, Part 2 of the sample analysis reads, My sun's element is blank. We fill in the element water because the sun was in Pisces, and Pisces is a water sign. You will do this with each of your planets. First, determine the actual sign that the planet is in, stated in Part 1, and then look up the sun's element using Figure 2 on page 11, the element wheel. Then you circle the key phrase that matches with that element in the chart below. How to fill out Part 3. For the first sentence, look up the planet's house position in Table 2. In the second sentence, turn to Appendix B to locate the appropriate keywords. Optional journal entry. Although we have provided journal, skip that part. Okay. The meaning of empty houses. As you complete the exercise, you will find that some houses are emphasized because they contain a number of planets, while other houses contain none at all. What do these empty houses signify? If you think of the birth chart as a large home, each astrological house would correspond to a room in the home. For example, the 4th house associated with Cancer could be symbolized by the kitchen. The 10th house associated with Capricorn would be the office. The 5th house associated with Leo, the recreation room, etc. When many planets are positioned in a house, this means that you probably spend a great deal of time in that room. You feel comfortable because you can express yourself easily there. On the other hand, if a house is empty, you certainly spend time there, as all rooms of the home are part of your daily living. However, this room is visited less frequently and does not function as a central focus in your daily activities. A note to intermediate students. The theme of the empty house is determined by the sign located on the house cusp. The planet associated with that house is the key to activating the affairs of the empty house. Increasing your life's options through this exercise. The sign keywords from Appendix A describes the characteristics and tendencies of the sign of the zodiac. Though each sign represents a basic mode of energy, this energy can manifest in a range of possible expressions during the course of your life. This is why we have given you such a large number of keywords to choose from. Although these sign energies are neutral, they can manifest in either skillful or unskillful ways. For example, if we give 2 carpenters the same tools and raw material, one may build a graceful solid structure while the other may create a rickety shack. Likewise, your birth chart depicts the potential that you have to work with, but your free will and the choices you make will determine how skillfully you build your life. This point separates modern astrology from the fortune-telling and determination that characterizes much of the practice in the Middle Ages. Unfortunately, many individuals still think of astrology in a deterministic light, not realizing that it actually increases rather than restricts our options. Therefore, it is important to realize that if you have been using a certain energy in a way that is creating destruction or unhappy results in your life, you can also choose to express the very same energy in a more positive or constructive manner. It is not a matter of adding something that you do not have, but of better learning how to use what is already available. Now let us continue the journey of writing your own birth chart. The Sun, the creator, ruler of Leo, I will. The Sun, planetary ruler of the sign Leo, symbolizes one's basic identity and conscious purpose. As the physical sun functions as the center of the solar system, the astrological sun symbolizes our psychological and spiritual center. It represents our inner life force, vitality, and purpose. The symbol of the sun is that of a circle surrounding a point. The circle represents the infinite and unlimited potential of spirit. The dot represents the point where the infinite manifests into finite form. The entire symbol thus depicts the realization of infinite potential through a specific point, the individual. Hence, the sun sign signifies our individuality and sense of identity. It enables us to experience a sense of self, to identify with the words I and me. When we are in touch with the solar force and consciously activate it, we declare, I am a unique individual in the world. There is no other like me. I have entered this life with a unique purpose and a contribution to make that is mine and mine alone. Thus, the sun gives us the desire to become more than we are, to grow and to shine in the world. If the solar energy is blocked, then our sense of self will be weakened and diminished. When we are not in touch with our sun, we lack faith and confidence in ourselves. In addition, we find it difficult to integrate our lives around a central theme. We drift about, having neither direction nor purpose. If, on the other hand, the solar energy is excessive, then we may become extremely prideful or boastful. The ego may become too overbearing and dominant, producing an inflated sense of self. The sun is the activating creative force in the birth chart. It is the divine spark residing within each of us. By expressing this creative potential, we truly become co-creators with the gods and goddesses. Physiologically, the sun rules the human heart, whose biological function acts exactly parallels that of the heavenly star. Whereas the physical sun pulsates life-giving warmth to all living beings on earth, so too does our inner sun, the human heart, pump life-giving blood to every cell in the body. So the skillful expressions for the sun are purposeful, integrated, creative, self-confidence. And then unskillful expression is unintegrated, timid, or self-centered and dominating. So for the exercise 3, I interpret the sun in my birth chart. The sun key phrases are my source, center, wheel, vitality, and life force, my potential for creative self-expression, my ability to focus my talents and to realize a life purpose. So now we have my planet, the sun, is in the sign of, and again, we are using mine as an example, of Taurus. My sun sign represents my purpose, will, and power. I can best express this potential by fulfilling my need to be resourceful, productive, and stable. When I am using these sign qualities skillfully, I tend to be productive, artistic, and loyal. However, when I am using these sign qualities unskillfully, I tend to be stubborn and lazy. Number 2, my sun sign's element, Earth. What is paired with this element from the below chart? Mine is Earth, And my earth soul lesson I need to learn is service. Number 3. My sun is in the second house. Therefore, my basic purpose, will, and power are best expressed in these areas of my life: attachments and attitude towards possessions. Optional journal entry. Write a few sentences on how you are expressing the sun's energy in your own life. The following questions may serve to stimulate and activate your thinking about the planet. Do I have a clear sense of my life's purpose and direction? Do I experience my life as a meaningful, integrated whole? Am I in touch with my will and my power? Do I have a healthy sense of my own self-worth? How am I expressing my creative potential? Do I have a creative outlet that I enjoy? Moving on to the moon, the sustainer, the ruler of Cancer, i.e. Moat. The moon, planetary ruler of the sign Cancer, symbolizes our emotions, feelings, and daily habit patterns. Mythologically, the moon was personified as the goddess, and in her triple form she displayed herself as Artemis, the new moon, Selene, the full moon, and Hecate, the dark moon. These symbolize the maiden, mother, and crone phases of the woman's lifespan. In this way, the moon is the foundation for all of the other feminine planets and asteroids. As the lunar cycle regulates the woman's menstrual cycle, the moon is regarded as a source of fertility, birthing, and growth of new life. Thus, traditionally, the moon has been a symbol for the mother, family, and domestic life and our emotional needs. The moon signifies how, as adults, we define security based on our experience of being nurtured, supported, and protected. While the sun indicates what we want, the moon describes what we need and cannot do without. The moon is the primary symbol of the feminine yin polarity and stands in equal power of the solar masculine yang principle. The moon's function in this relationship is to offer a receptive container in which to give form to the sun's energy. Esther Harding reflects, the yin is said to be of equal power to the yang because it brings all his stirrings into manifestation. Within each one of us, it is through the vehicle of our moon personality that we can actualize the potential of our sun's purpose. Traditional concepts associated with the moon are adaptability, emotional responses, daily habit patterns, receptivity, and nurturing matrix have been based upon the principles that the moon reflects the light of the sun. In the moon's monthly lunation cycle, each evening we see a different face of her phases as she reflects varying amounts of light. Our lunar nature makes us sensitive to the changing conditions of our environment, thereby enabling us to continually adjust our way of relating to the outer world. The moon's capacity for flexibility in an ever-changing reality provides a protected form in which we can unfold our sun's purpose. Our response to these situations are often instinctive because they are unconscious and based on emotional reactions from early childhood experiences and family training. As the moon represents the nurturing matrix out of which all life arises, it is most influential in the earliest parts of our lives. As young children before 7 years of age, we are emotional sensors, unconsciously absorbing many of our parents' assumptions and attitudes. Here lie the beginnings of our psychological patterns that arise from infantile experiences. This storehouse of dimly remembered emotional perceptions forms our moon personality. When we feel threatened in our security, this unconscious aspect of ourselves instinctively responds to secure our protection. It is important to note that the moon underlies all of the feminine expression and is more than just a mother symbol. The asteroid series gives additional information about the moon's specific nurturing relationship between parent and child. As the ruler of the water sign Cancer, the moon governs our emotional life and feelings. In the same way that the infant does not realize he or she is separate from the mother, the moon does not recognize separateness. When we emerge from the world through feelings, we become intuitive. and perceive beyond rational knowing. However, when we follow our fluctuating emotions to become excessive, then we ride an emotional roller coaster at the mercy of our ever-changing moods. Finally, the moon governs the past. Through the moon, we can access our personal subconscious, racial memory, and ancestral heritage. Physiologically, the moon rules the body's fluids, lymph, glandular secretions, mother's milk, and etc. It also governs the breast, stomach, and the woman's menstrual cycle, which corresponds to the 29-day lunar revolution. The skillful expressions are nurturing, providing, protective, sensitive, intuitive, and the unskillful expressions are over-emotional, insecure, fearful, and moody. Exercise 3. I interpret the moon in my birth chart. The moon key phrases are my emotions and feelings, my habit patterns, and my inner feminine. So number 1, my planet, the moon, is in the sign of Aries. Indicates how I respect. In the birth chart, my moon sign indicates how I respond emotionally and meet my security needs. Thus, I can best fulfill these needs by expressing my need to be independent and develop self-awareness. When I am using these sign qualities skillfully, I may feel sensitive, intuitive, and nurturing. However, when I'm using these sign qualities unskillfully, I may feel over-emotional and insecure. 2. My moon sign's element is fire. How I emotionally respond and find security is warmly, impulsively, and energetically. Security is found through self-expression. Number 3. My moon is in the first house. Therefore, my feelings, emotional responses, and habit patterns are best expressed in these areas of my life: health and self-expression. The following slides are Appendix A and Appendix B. The optional journal entry. Write a few sentences on how you are expressing the moon's energy in your own life. The following questions may serve to stimulate and activate your thinking about the planets. How do I experience my feelings and moods? Can I easily share my feelings with others? Are there times when I let my moods run my life? How do I experience my own inner feminine? Do I accept my intuitions and hunches as valid? What habit patterns have I developed that aid and support my lifestyle? What habits and conditioning would I like to change? In what ways does my moon personality facilitate the expression of my sun's purpose? Appendix B, keywords for the houses. Here's the first and second house. Third house. Fourth and fifth. Sixth and seventh. Eighth. 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And that is all we have for tonight. We will still be in chapter 3 for the next, for about maybe 3 or 4 weeks, depending on how I break up the rest of the planets. We will be starting next Monday with Mercury. So until then, till next Monday, I am out. So make sure you leave comments down below if you have any questions, and make sure you hit the subscribe bell to be notified next time I upload a new video.